I've recently been watching a docudrama series on the BBC, SAS Rogue Heroes. It follows the formation of the now famous SAS regiment as it developed its method of sabotage warfare in the deserts of Africa. As the new recruits were trained, they were encouraged to ask the questions of their orders, to ask why. Why are we doing this task? They were encouraged to ask the why behind what it was that they were doing. It reminds me much about our Christian faith, where we're constantly encouraged to ask the question of why behind the what. Jesus died is the what happened, but there is a whole load of theology that starts to articulate the why. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. This quote from John's Gospel is so often quoted at this time of year and is so often attributed to the gallantry of those who fought in the war. But it's a quote often used out of the context of the why. The full passage goes like this. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask him in my name. I am giving you these commandments so that you may love one another. This concept of giving of ourselves for the sake of another is not an action for praise or recognition, but one of following the commandments of our rabbi and friend. An action that is rooted in love as a demonstration of that love. To live a life of sacrifice is to live or die for the other and not for yourself. One of our more modern day saints demonstrates this to the ultimate reality. Maximilian Kolbe was a Franciscan friar in Poland from the beginning of the war. He resisted that Nazi propaganda that was so prevalent against the church. His monastery helped hide and feed and clothe thousands of Polish refugees and Jews who came to them for sanctuary. He saw the suffering of those who were displaced or hunted. In 1941, a newspaper he published said, "No one in the world can change truth. What we can do and should do is to seek truth and to serve it when we have found it. The real conflict is the inner conflict. Beyond armies of occupation, there are two irreconcilable enemies in the depth of every soul: good and evil, sin and love. And what use are the victories on the battlefield if we ourselves are defeated in our innermost personal selves?" Shortly after the publication of this quote, he was arrested for hiding Jews and eventually sent to Auschwitz. Despite being singled out for harsh treatment, he was known for his calmness and dignity and deep selfless faith. In July 1941, 3 prisoners appeared to have escaped from the camp, and as a result, the deputy commander ordered 10 men to be chosen and starved to death in an underground bunker. When one of the men selected heard that he was chosen, he cried out, "My wife, my children." And at this point, Kolbe volunteered to take his place. The Nazi commander replied, "What does this Polish pig want?" Kolbe pointed with his hand to the condemned man and repeated, "I am a Catholic priest from Poland. I would like to take his place because he has a wife and children." Rather surprised, the commander accepted Kolbe in place of this man, who later said, "I could only thank him with my eyes. I was stunned and could hardly grasp what was going on. The immensity of it. I, the condemned, am to live, and someone else willingly and voluntarily offers his life for me, a stranger. Is this some dream?" I was put back into my place without having had time to say anything to Maximilian. I was saved, and I owe to him the fact that I could tell you all this. The story of Maximilian grew after the war as offering a rare glimpse of light and human dignity in the face of extreme cruelty. It's a reminder to us that the stories of the saints are not just from hundreds of years ago, but are lived in our lifetime and in this day and age as an encouragement for us to live out the why behind the actions of our lives.